Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for returning. It's the 30th of October at 12:35. We're going to read the decision notice as follows, and all members will receive a copy of this post-completion. Decision. The subcommittee has considered very carefully the application for variation of the premises licence at London Road Post Office. It gave due regard to Licensing Act 2003, the licensing objectives, statutory guidance, and the adopted statement of the licensing policy. The subcommittee considered the relevant representations, both written and given at the hearing by all parties. Human rights legislation and public sector equality duty have been borne in mind whilst making the decision. The subcommittee noted that the application sought an extension in the hours of the sale of alcohol off sales to 24 hours daily from the terminal hour of 22:30 on Sunday and 2300 hours Monday to Saturday. It also sought the extension of the hours to provision of late night refreshments until 5 AM daily, a revised layout plan, and deletion of conditions as set out in the report. There have been one representation from a ward councillor. The objection raised concerns in relation to prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, and public nuisance. The issues of concern relating to crime and disorder arise from the premises in the area being subject to shoplifting and the proximity of the Green Post pub, meaning it could encourage drunk and disorderly behaviour. Road safety issues due to likely illegal parking and noise from customers creating public nuisance at antisocial hours in a residential area were also raised. No representations were received from responsible authorities, and both parties, with the consent of other parties, submitted additional evidence at the hearing. After hearing all the above evidence, the subcommittee determined to grant the application, subject to the operating schedule presented in the report and the amendment that's been agreed in relation to the course of the hearing to the provision of the SIA approved member of door staff until 5 AM. The reasons. The subcommittee listened very carefully to concerns raised on behalf of residents and has had the balance of those against the interest of the business. In doing so, it had to determine the extent of the impact that the proposed variation might have upon the licensing objectives of the prevention of crime and disorder, public nuisance, and the promotion of public safety. It acknowledged that there were no representations from responsible authorities. The ward councillor indicated that the premises were located in a residential area and that there were concerns about the existing crime in the area arising from incidents, including those of harassment. That extended hours for sale of alcohol will likely increase those issues and antisocial behaviour generally. The area is notorious for parking issues with bus lanes, double yellow lines, and often obstructed and endangering public safety. For the premises, it was stressed that the licence holder has extensive experience, 16 years running multiple premises, that no licensing issues have ever been identified by the responsible authorities at the premises, that there has been considerable investment into the business and refurbishment of the premises. The applicant is not aware of any crime and disorder issues or noise arising from the premises, that the application is to cater those who are working night shifts hours and local customers, that the licensable activities will be provided alongside other extensive facilities, that no representations from residents and only a single representation from a ward councillor. There's extensive CCTV covering the premises. Other premises run by the applicant are close to licensed premises without concerns. There is a lay-by offering parking outside the premises. There is no evidence in line that the Thwaites case there should be no restriction. Guidance indicates shops should be ordinarily allowed to sell alcohol during the hours they are open. Comprehensive conditions have been agreed with the police as set out in the report, and that there are a thorough training and processing with logs, regulatory checks, etc. in place. And finally, that an SIA approved member of staff shall be on duty in accordance with the agreed conditions, and further, it was agreed that this will be extended till 5 AM and the condition be amended accordingly. The subcommittee has had to consider whether the proposed variation is likely to undermine the licensing objectives, and in light of the comprehensive conditions, the extensive experience of the licence holder, and the extension of the provision of the SIA staff till 5 AM in the morning, it would not be appropriate or proportionate for any further restrictions on the application at this time on the basis of the evidence available. The application is then supported by guidance indicating that this ought to be allowed unless there is good reason. The police have to be considered to be supportive of the application in light of the agreed conditions and the lack of representation, and the guidance is clear that the police are the lead authority in relation to the crime and disorder objective. The subcommittee accepted legal advice provided during the hearing that parking and highways issues, even if they pose a risk to public safety, were not relevant to the licensable activities proposed and could be afforded no weight as a result. Residents can be assured that there is a right to review the premises licence in any event that the evidence does show that the premises is undermining the four licensing objectives at any given time. A review would mean a reconsideration of the licence and could allow for the imposition of conditions, restriction of the licensable activities, or revocation of the premises licence if appropriate at a future date. There is a right to appeal for all parties to the magistrates' courts, and a formal notification of the decision will be set out right and in full. I close the meeting at 41 minutes past 12. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Members.